Early in the summer, I found this great little bench in my parents' barn. It was built around 1940, and it's just really different than any other boarded bench I've ever seen. It's got one apron, tapered legs, and the whole thing is nailed together with dumb little wire nails. But it's also nice looking and rock solid. And I've built some nailed furniture. I've built a few pieces, so I know how this stuff works. Except this bench works pretty differently. And a lot of the things I think I know about nailed furniture might just be wrong. So let's build one and find out. The original bench was made with inch-thick, 16-inch wide boards, and good luck finding that. I ended up with this pair of yellow pine 1x12s. They're actually 11.5 inches wide and 3/4 of an inch thick, but I'm gonna make that work. I actually found these boards at a garage sale, and they were not for sale. I just dug them out of the corner and took them up to the lady running the sale, and I was like, hey, do you want to sell these? And she was completely freaked out by a big bald guy just coming up to her with scrap wood out of her garage. And she was like, yes, fine. What will you give me for them? And I said, $5. And she said, sure. She just wanted to get rid of me. Since the wood isn't really the right size, I need to be creative. We're going to glue two boards together to make that wide seat. To lay out my rip cut, I'm going to use my fish head gauge. It's got an extra long fence for better registration. I can set my distance against a rule and tap the wedge to set it. Even with the beam extended far out, this gauge stays steady because of its special construction. It's a fun tool to build, and we'll link to it down in the description. Now, this is a long rip cut, so I used my bandsaw and saved my arm. I am going to need all my energy to finish prepping this stock. When you have wide, flat sawn boards like this, they are going to twist as they dry. If you just expect twisted lumber, then you won't be disappointed. The good news is that you don't have to do a lot of planing to fix that twist. Do a bit on each corner, check with winding sticks. Plane a little more, and that twist is mostly gone. It doesn't need to be perfect, just good enough to joint a square edge and glue on this narrow board. Now, I've got my 16-inch seat, and while the glue on that dries, I can start making the legs. I get one leg just by cutting this board to length, but now I'm out of wide stock. So I'll cross-cut this narrow scrap, joint the boards together in the vise, and when I've got a good, straight edge, I glue them up. It's pretty easy, and now I've got two legs. Now that was a lot of cutting and gluing, and maybe you got a little bit lost, and that's why we have plans that show you how to get all the parts you need out of just a pair of 2x12s. And if you don't want to buy the plans, just pause the video and look at these pictures. It's totally fine with me. After the glue dries, my seat is done and I can flatten it. I want to work across this board, and I need some basic work holding to keep the wood from flying off the bench. I'm just going to clamp a stick to the edge of my bench and then push the wood firmly into the planing stop. Just holding the board at 2 points is all I need to keep it steady while I work aggressively across the grain and level out the high spots in the wood. Then it's on to the jack plane and working with the grain to get a level surface. This is the top of the seat, so I'm giving it a lot of attention. I'm barely going to touch the underside because no one is going to see that. I want the ends clean and square, and I can plane them right across, but there's always the chance of blowing out that far corner. A quick nip with the jack plane bevels that corner, so the end fibers are supported and the plane doesn't catch as I finish the stroke. I'm also going to chamfer all the edges. This pine is fragile, and chamfering prevents damage. The seat is done, so I'm going to smooth plane it now and get my final finish. I'm still just planing against my stop, but now I've got the cover in place, so the teeth won't bite in and mess up those freshly planed ends. The legs are easier because they're smaller, but I used up the best wood on the seat. These pieces have a lot more cup and bow. Since the wood is only 3/4 inch thick, I can't flatten these all the way. That would leave them too thin. So I compromise, getting at least one flat face. I'll use that for my show face and put the ugly face inside where no one will see it. That's all the major parts dimensioned. Now, we'll turn those smaller boards into legs. The legs for this bench have an unusual design. They taper in from the top to the bottom, so they're narrower at the bottom than the top. I would never design a piece of furniture this way. I would have them taper out, so they're wider at the bottom. But this bench has been around for over 80 years, and it's still going strong, so I'm not going to mess with it. We also have a notch that divides the leg into 2 feet. That's just called a boot jack end, and this one has a hole drilled right at the point of that notch. That hole might be to keep it from splitting, or it might just be for looks. I don't really know. But the apex of that notch and the center of the hole are in the exact same point. That makes them come together in a visually pleasing way. Laying out the legs is easy, and you only need a couple of points for reference. I'm not even using a ruler. A scrap with a good edge is all you need. I'll drill the hole first. Once I taper the sides, I won't have my straight reference line anymore, and drilling this hole would be really hard after you saw the notch. I'm using a brace because that's what the original builder used, and I have the piece on some scrap, so I won't blow out the far end of the hole. I'm going to plane that taper using my aggressive 4-plane because sawing it would take forever and I would just have to plane it anyway. Sawing diagonal lines like these always takes a little thought. Is it a rip or a crosscut? It could be either, but I have the best luck doing these with a crosscut saw. No matter how you do it, you're going to have a rough surface. Using a broad chisel and cutting downhill gives you a smooth finish pretty quickly, but you can't get up into the point of the notch. For that last bit, I wrap some sandpaper around a thin scrap and work up into that tight space. The last pieces are the braces and the apron, and I'm cutting all of that from a single piece of 2-inch pine. All the cuts are 45 degrees, and I'm cutting the first one at this weird angle because my stock is very long. I get it done, but it's awkward. It's much better to get those angled lines straight up and down. Keeping your saw plumb is much more natural and easy to feel, especially when you're using a back saw with a heavy spine. I'm cutting my short braces first so I can pick the best stock, and then whatever's left over just becomes my apron. Most of my cuts are straight and true right off the saw, but this one was not. No problem. I can fix this freehand with my smoothing plane. It's just an easy, circular motion, and I'm concentrating towards the back, where I have extra waste. You don't need a jig or anything else, just practice, and you can make these angles very accurately with standard bench tools. Once all the parts are made, you just need to nail the whole thing together. Or that's what I thought. This bench was made by a carpenter, and I have not done very much carpentry, so there were parts that I just didn't understand. I've built a lot of nailed furniture, and I thought that was going to help me, but it really didn't, and I had to solve a lot of problems. To attach the apron, you need to nail through the seat, but you also need the seat to be level, so I used the braces as spacer blocks. Put the seat on top, and nailed the apron on, driving my nails at opposing angles to increase their hold. Then I flipped the whole thing over to attach the legs. And here's where things started to go totally sideways. I thought I was just going to put the bench top up on the legs and then just nail through the seat into the tops of the legs, and that was completely unrealistic. There's no way you're going to get the whole thing balanced while you drive nails through it. Looking at the original bench and looking at the tops of the legs, you can see this little nail hole right here. These legs were toe-nailed on from the underside before they were nailed down from the top. So I grabbed the leg in a screw clamp and started nailing in at an angle. And it was a disaster. No matter what I did, I couldn't get the angle right or get the leg to hold still long enough to get the nail in. So I added another clamp to hold the leg in place, and that didn't work either. So I clamped a wooden block behind the leg and tried again, and again, and again. And I was getting pretty frustrated. And here's the leg I was trying to nail to the seat, and I put nails in this thing and pulled them out so many times, there's actually no wood left in this corner. There's even a nail in there that is stuck in the wood. I'm never going to get that out. This piece ended up getting completely ruined, which really frustrated me because this was my last piece of nice stock, and I had to make the thing over again from scratch, gluing together little scraps and offcuts. It was super frustrating, but these things do happen. And all this trial and error helped me figure out the technique. You want to get the leg by itself. Use the nail to figure out the angle and the depth, and then sink it most of the way in. In fact, you want one of your nails to go all the way through and stick out just a bit. Then you set the leg on the seat and give the leg a tap. This sets the point of your nail and holds the board in place while you drive the first nail all the way in. Having one nail sunk gives you the resistance to drive the other nail easily. No clamps, no messing around. The toenails hold the leg steady while you stand the bench up and use a square to double check the leg location. Then you can nail right in through the seat, being sure to drive your nails at an angle for added hold. Now it's time for the braces, and those are a snap. Just nail straight down, set the nail head below the surface, and add a second nail. To nail in the other end of the brace, I got the bench up on end and just nailed straight down. Again, I did 2 nails for added strength. Then it's just a final inspection and the build is done. I'm really happy with this project, but I used mediocre wood, and I've got nail holes and other defects, so this is a perfect project for paint. I started with a coat of slate gray milk paint. This stuff comes as a powder and you just mix it with water. It's very easy to apply. Milk paint does wear off over time, so it's fun to do a base coat in one color and then finish with a contrasting color. Over time, the undercoat will start to show through, and that will only make the piece look more interesting. The painting was a project all by itself, and I might do a video just about that. There are a lot of tricks to getting a good finish with milk paint, but it's hard to argue with the results. This project was super challenging, but it was also a lot of fun. It was an opportunity to get humble. I thought I was going to knock this out in a day or two, and boom, project done, video done. And it didn't work out that way. I had to overcome a bunch of challenges and learn a bunch of new techniques and kind of start from scratch. The good news is I already made all those mistakes, so you don't have to. Now we've got this video, and of course we also have a complete set of plans that shows you every detail and how to make the bench, how to get the stock out of small parts, how to set it up in different configurations to do the nailing easily. We have solved all of these problems so you don't have to, and our plans are also super affordable. We've also done a bunch of nailed furniture on this channel, so we want to put it all together into a big bundle for you. We call it our nailed furniture bundle. You get our Frontier desk, our Mission style bench, our linen chest, which is one of our most popular plans ever, the 6-board chest. It's a really good one. And of course, you get this Connecticut bench all together in one bundle. And we wanted to make it extra fun, so we're also going to include the fish head gauge that I use in lots of my videos. That's included for free. You just get it for buying the bundle. And when you get this bundle, you're saving a ton of money. It's way less than buying these projects individually. And the other great part is these are all things I actually use in my house day to day. The nailed furniture is some of the most useful I've ever done. You can go to rexkrueger.com/store and check that out. And don't forget that my patrons get all of my plans for free, including bundles. If you'd like to be a patron, go on over to patreon.com/rexkrueger and check out all the rewards we have for the people who make these videos possible. This kind of simple country furniture, it's not like, there aren't a ton of people on YouTube doing this stuff, which I understand. It's not what a lot of people come for, but it's something I really like, and apparently you like it too, because you keep showing up to watch it. And I appreciate that. It's really nice to have a channel where I get to do stuff that's a little different. I really enjoy it. And you guys make it possible just by watching. So thanks for that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.